Hey everybody, my name is Felicia. I'm the associate pastor here at First Baptist Gastonia, and Wednesdays are usually when we meet with our kids and our youth. We can't do that right now for a little while, so I'm going to do some thoughts for our youth group. We've been going through the book of Acts for the last 2 semesters, and we are on the last chapter, 28, so we got to finish it up. So this is a few little thoughts on that and a little study on one of the stories in that chapter. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to have a few just little thoughts and maybe some questions for you to think about. So thanks for joining us. So here we go. This is Acts 28, starting in verse 1. This story happens right after Paul and the others who were on the ship with him. They were heading to Rome because he is appealed to be heard by the emperor because he has charges against him. The ship has wrecked. They have all made it on board an island there, and this is kind of what happens then. And this is Paul and the others who were with him. After we had reached safety, we then learned that the island was called Malta. The natives showed us unusual kindness. Since it had begun to rain and was cold, they kindled a fire and welcomed all of us around it. Paul had gathered a bundle of brushwood and was putting it on the fire when a viper, driven out by the heat, fastened itself to his hand. When the natives saw the creature hanging by his hand, they said to one another, "This man must be a murderer. Though he has escaped from the sea, justice has not allowed him to live." He, however, shook the creature off into the fire and suffered no harm. They were expecting him to swell up or drop dead, but after they had waited a long time and saw that nothing unusual had happened to him, they changed their minds and began to say that he was a god. Now in the neighborhood of that place were lands belonging to the leading man of the island, named Publius, who receiving us and entertaining us hospitably for 3 days. It so happened that the father of Publius lay sick in bed with fever and dysentery. Paul visited him and cured him by praying and putting his hands on him. After this happened, the rest of the people on the island who had diseases also came and were cured. They bestowed many honors on us, and when we were about to sail, they put on board all the provisions we needed. So that's our story. Like I said, this takes place after a shipwreck where Paul and all of the people on the ship survived. They make it to the island. The story starts with the natives kind of find them, and they welcome them in. It even says they show unusual kindness, which, I mean, let's be honest, our world needs some kindness, and we're living in unusual times. So, maybe we can use this story to inspire us to be like those natives a little bit, to show that kindness. So what they did is they built a fire and they welcomed all of them around, it says, this fire. And it's kind of this beautiful picture of this community starting to happen between those who live on the island and those who were from the shipwreck. And they come together at this moment on this fire. And I know right now we're really disconnected. We can't hang out with a lot of people. We shouldn't really be around many people at all. We can't go to Bible studies like we want. We can't go to church like we want or go to school and other places. But we can still have a sense of community, and that's what this video is for. There's other ways that we can reach out and do that. So one challenge I want to have for my youth and for whoever's watching this is, how can you build a sense of community right now? Maybe it's cutting the grass for your neighbor next door who is older and is staying inside or doesn't have the opportunity to do that right now. Maybe they're working, because some of us are still working. Or maybe, it's offering to babysit, so somebody can run to the grocery store, can do something like that. But there are people all around you, even though we're isolated, we're distant, who still need you. Reach out to your friends. Some people are stuck at home and don't have a lot of communication with other people, so reach out to them and just say, "Hey, I just wanted to call and talk. Say what's up." So after they're welcomed around this fire, everyone kind of is working together, it kind of seems like. Even Paul gets his hands dirty, and he's rounding up some bushes and some shrubs and some wood to throw in the fire, and he also picks up a snake. When he throws it towards the fire, the snake jumps out and it bites his hand. and it hangs on to him. And the natives, they see this, and they kind of have this moment where they judge Paul. They say, "Oh, he must be pretty bad because this snake has bit him and he's gonna die. The sea tried to kill him, that didn't work, so the snake's got him." Let me just say that bad things happening to people does not mean that person is bad. People get sick. There's accidents all the time. There's things like that are really out of our control. Here's the truth, guys. Life is hard. And just because something hard happens to you doesn't mean you're being punished by God. Just because, the world's going through a pandemic right now, it doesn't mean we're necessarily being punished by God. It just means that life is hard. And instead of looking around and trying to find blame and trying to judge other people, we need to look around and see how we can build some community and how we can take care of each other. I think that's a really important lesson for us all to remember right now. So, bad things do not equal bad people. Good things, they don't even equal good people. It's just how life works. Life is not fair. So, excuse me, it's allergies, I promise. This snake bites Paul. He shakes it off. Everyone thinks he must be a murderer. He's bad news. But then nothing happens to him. He doesn't even swell up from it, even though everyone thinks he's probably going to die. Then the natives, they decide to judge him in a different way. Okay, so he wasn't bad. He survived it. So he must be a god. Again, let's stop judging people. We're all doing the best we can together. So he doesn't die, but we do learn that he's kind of close to one of the leaders of the island. And this leader invites him over and has the whole group in his house for 3 days, welcoming them and showing them hospitality. It's kind of strange to think a leader of an island has welcomed in a whole group of strangers. That's kind of weird, first of all. Second of all, these were prisoners. Paul was a prisoner. He's got all these soldiers with him, guarding him, trying to take him to Rome for his trial that he wants so badly. Maybe we can use this time to break down some barriers. We have all kind of barriers in our lives. We kind of like to stick to the people who we are comfortable with, who we know. But let's break down some barriers. Hey, if you're a teenager, why don't you call someone who may be older, who may be stuck inside and they don't know a lot about technology, and just say, "Hey, can I walk you through how to set up a Facebook account? Or can I talk to you, help you figure out any technology issues you have?" Because we're all going to be relying on that to communicate for a while. Break down some barriers. Make a new friend somehow, some way. Or call someone who you know but maybe you're not as close to, who's different than you. That could be a really good use of this time when we're distancing but still trying to have that community. So the leader, we find out that his father is sick, and he's been in bed. And Paul uses the opportunity to do what Paul does best, to listen to God and to reach out and to pray. And he puts his hands on him and he heals him. And that moment kind of opens up the door for Paul to be able to help a lot of other people who are on this island, who are sick and who are needing some healing. Let's say that you reach out to an older person and you help them figure out how to do some technology if you're a teenager. That's really good. But what happens if they tell their friend who also needs some help? Maybe when you're having that conversation with the first person you're helping, say, "Hey, if any of your friends are looking for something like this too, feel free to give them my phone number or get their number from me, and I'll see what I can help do." Now is the time for us to come together without touching, without being within 6 feet of each other, but there are plenty of other ways to do that. So let's focus on that. And when it's time for Paul and the soldiers and everyone else to move on, the people at the island, they're impacted by them, and they honor them before they leave. It says that they give them all the provisions that they need for their journey. When we reach out and we love other people, we help other people in the ways that we can, it turns into being a blessing for us. So let's take this time to learn from this lesson. Let's look for ways to build community. Let's remember that bad things do not equal bad people. Good things do not equal good people. Let's look for ways that we can break down barriers and we can share God's love with others who may be different than us. And let's remember that when we do good for others, then we get a blessing out of it too. Thank you guys. Bye.